We've got the Danny from Danny and Dusty joining us. He's been down in Vegas for Summer League. He is best friends with David Copperfield. And he was in the building as the Blazers picked up a Summer League victory last night over the Philadelphia 76ers, 97-95. Mr. Marang, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm back in the land of the not cooked alive. So, hooray!
Oh, good. You've made it back safe and sound. Last night was a fun-ass game to watch. Very, very terrible shooting. But
Oh God,
it
yeah.
is it is Vegas Summer League. Was it three or four possessions in a row, air balls? Did I
It
count
was.
that correctly?
Yeah, there was some tough shooting, and I was sitting with one of the 76ers beat writers, Kyle Newbeck, and we were both going to look at each other in the second quarter like, oh my God, I'm going to fall asleep. Like, this game has no life, it has no legs. And then the third quarter, Clingan kind of came to life. Got called for an offensive foul and another foul, and you could see he was getting irritated, and then he got a chance to get down the lane and threw down that dunk, and that was right in front of me. And he threw it down so hard, so aggressively. Like, it was insane to see somebody that big get up and dunk that hard. It was the whole gym came to life, and then you had Bona get a dunk on the other side. And really, from that point on, the game was really good.
Yeah, it was. It was a furious finish down the stretch. And look, I was talking about this earlier. Donovan Clingan, big man throw ball through hoop. Great to see.
Yeah, no, it was. He was in the post game. He was pretty excited about that one. He was like, yeah, I wanted that one, and you could tell he wanted to get his leg back because I want to say 2 possessions before that dunk. He just big boyed Bona, and Adam Bona's a big, strong kid, but he's just in a different weight class than Clingan. And Clingan just completely sealed him. And the ref called him for an offensive foul. And I just kind of looked at me, or I looked over at the other media folks. We all kind of like, how is that a foul? He's all he did was big boy him. There's nothing there. And he came down the floor and threw down that dunk. You could tell he was irritated.
Look, it was fun to see with Clingan coming out of the gate because game one, it looked like speed, timing, a little bit too fast, looked like he was a little bit gassed in those first runs. He looked like he kind of settled in out of the gate. I mean, Blazers go on, they led by 8, and then he checks out after his first run, and Philly goes on a 12-1 run, and you go, presence. That's presence of a big, right?
Yeah.
There's still plenty of that we need to see. Cleaning up his low game because we saw some bunnies that were missed offensively, and then closeouts, rotations. That's going to be it's going to be a work in progress. But one thing that I was sitting there going, okay, that basketball IQ that everybody had talked about during the draft process, what wasn't talked about enough is how he was an effective passer from the get-go and facilitating on the offensive end of the floor, really from the first possession.
Yeah, the Blazers made a little bit of a change from Kendrick Davis to Kennedy Chandler. Kendrick, unfortunately, in game one, thought it was Kendrick Davis time, and he had some blinders on, and it just made the offense kind of bog down a ton. Chandler got out there and really kind of settled some things in. I think he ended the night with like 9 assists, and you could just tell things were running more functionally. I think you got a glimpse at because of how the offense was running. Clingan was facilitating from the middle of the floor. He finished with 5 assists. He probably had an opportunity for 8 or 9. There was a couple of looks that guys missed. He was pretty proud of his passing after the game. He was smiling about it. He said, I got to show some great reads, made some good passes. I asked Justin Minaya about it, and he said that, the very first time that he played with him, it was evident how good of a passer he is. And it's like, he's not an okay passer. He's a plus passer. He genuinely is. And he threw a couple guys open, and you're like, okay, there's a little something there. And I think that's an interesting thing because I don't think he's going to shoot it this year. And I just don't think it's going to be there. And he may have some nights when he does knock down some shots. But I think in general, teams are going to treat him as a non-shooter. But the thing about it is when you're a good passer and you're 7'3" and you can see over the entire defenses can't sit off you and just let you pick them apart.
Yeah.
So they do have to step out. So if they do have him in the middle of the floor, at the top of the free throw line or just underneath the 3-point line, kind of working as a playmaking hub, defenses do need to take a step or two out and kind of cut off some passing lanes because if you let a guy sit in the middle of the floor and make decisions in the NBA, you can be pretty deadly when you have time and space to make those passes, and you have the tools to make them. It gets very interesting very quickly. So I was really, really impressed with that. But the thing that I came out of that game with us is he is a legitimate, not a good rim protector for a rookie. He's a good rim protector in the NBA already. Like that's the feel is there. The verticality is got to see something. He needs to clean up just a little bit, I think. But he was credited with 3 blocks, and I think he got screwed out of 2 that he got fingers on. And the cool thing about Summer League, I wrote this on the Patreon last night. Sitting where you sit in Summer League, like it's 2 feet off the floor, right? Like, and you can feel the game. And you could feel the Philadelphia 76ers drivers steer away over and over and over. And they were contorting and twisting and trying to find these little nooks and crannies to get shots off around Clingan, and they just weren't there. And it was pretty damn impressive just how much the only guy who, and he's insane, is Ricky Council IV. He was the only guy who was like, I'm going to challenge him. And one time Clingan blocked him. Another time Clingan kind of got a deflection on it. And, I think the ball went out of bounds. And the third time Council got free throws out of it. But, like, he's a top 1% athlete in the NBA. And, like, I don't think you're going to see many guys who look at Donovan Clingan on a nightly basis as an opponent and go, I want to challenge him.
Yeah. Again, we talk about this all the time. Take Summer League with a grain of salt, but you want to see growth and that comfortability continue to take those steps forward. And I think we saw that from game 1 to game 2 with Clingan. And I think that a big part of that was the fourth quarter where he only had 2 points, but 4 rebounds, 2 on the offensive end to keep possessions alive, 2 assists, a block shot in that fourth quarter. But that forced 5-second violation on the sideline. Yep. That was a huge play, and that's where we're talking about just presence, and it can be your physical presence, just being big and getting in the way, but also the basketball IQ. And part of the art of defending the inbound when you're a big like that is to make sure that you're reading the inbounder. And I thought he did an incredible job at doing that, which are those little signs of growth where it is everything that was talked about in the pre-draft process. We're kind of seeing those little tidbits play out already in the Summer League 2 games in.
Yeah, what's really interesting about Clingan so far through 2 games is quite simply that he impacts the game without having to have the ball all the time. And yes, he was working as a facilitator and, he got a few shots up. But you look at his stat line, Dusty, 8 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks. Like, he finds ways to impact the game endlessly. And whether it's that closeout block on Jared McCain in space or getting that 5-second call, like grabbing a very timely offensive rebound, he really gets it. And I think the Summer League is such a terrible place for bigs, and it's such a hard place for them to shine, and yet Clingan is shining defensively. He's got a long way to go offensively. He's got to learn to, when he's down around the rim, to not be sped up. And I think he'll be okay there eventually. I'd like to see him be more physical on the offensive end, not necessarily as a screener when he's got the ball in his hands. He's got a couple offensive rebounds, and he kind of tried to throw some Nurkic-esque flip shots at the rim, and I'm like, no, stop that. Let's get out of that habit very quickly. But it's all superfluous type stuff because the things that he does already, they're going to translate.
Yeah.
Blocks, rebounds, screens. Like, it sounds so simple, but this Trailblazers team is in such desperate and dire need of those things that I think in the 18 to 22 minutes he's probably going to play a night, he's going to be impactful.
What do we think of Chris Murray, another tough shooting night, and Ryan Rupert, who cleaned it up from a turnover perspective, especially in the first half where he had 6 in game 1. Rupes looked a little bit more comfortable, but those 2 guys, I think the expectations may be a little bit higher for the year 2 guys through the first 2 games.
Yeah, Rupes had an incredible first quarter, and then after that he kind of fell to the background. I wasn't thrilled about that, but that first quarter I thought was fantastic from him. He was incredibly active, incredibly engaged, knocked down his shots. I was like, okay. Chris, his shooting performance was really poor, but I thought he took some shots that he just had to take because they just didn't have some looks at times. I think of his first 6 threes, 5 of them were like, okay, I got to get this shot up because we're either late in the clock or this is the shot that I need to take even though the defender's closing out. And the first 3 that he made was the first actual, like, legitimate, clean catch-and-shoot look that was in rhythm and on time, and he knocked it down. And then he knocked down his next one. I go, okay, there it is. His shooting performance was poor, and he'll beat himself up over that. But what I love is that he kept shooting. Because in the past, he would just not shoot, and he still let it fly. And that's kind of a confidence thing and just finding a way to get through that. He ended up with 5 assists, 6 rebounds. He was everywhere. He put his head down, got to the rim over and over again. And it's not a grand scheme thing, but Justin Minaya has actually looked very good in both games. I was talking to him after the game, and you can see that his jumper is a lot cleaner. And I was asking him about that, and he said the big thing is he's been working on just tightening it up, and just getting those repetitions. And he had 2 catch-and-shoot looks last night. He just absolutely canned again. And then he had the cut, catch, and dunk from Donovan Clingan. And another little thing I think we need to watch for the rest of the Summer League is Jackie.
Jackie Tway!
That transition pull-up 3 had the whole media row stand up and go, whoa. Like, he walked into that, and he shot that like Klay Thompson.
Yeah, he's got a quick little trigger on him, man.
Holy.
And he is not a guy that we're assuming will be on the 15 for the Blazers, but he is playing his way into a remix
two-way
spot.
deal.
Yeah.
Do not be surprised to see him on a 2-way deal. Do not be surprised to see him on a 2-way deal.
Look, a guy who can shoot and is willing to shoot, you need it.
The Chinese media, they call him the Chinese Kawhi Leonard.
Oh.
So they love him. You should have seen the media from China that was in town to talk to him. It was quite a scene. There was probably 25 media members from China that pulled him aside. I'm really interested to see how he looks tonight. He had that bullet pass to Clingan as well. He had, I think, a 5-minute stretch where he might have been the best player on the floor. I was pretty, like, I had heard, hey, this guy can really defend, and he's got a nice little jumper. I didn't know his jumper looked that clean. I was definitely blown away when I saw him hit the corner 3 and then hit the pull-up in transition, because he took that thing with the utmost confidence. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of comes out of that. But all in all, it's been a pretty successful Summer League so far. And I think the biggest thing for Donovan Clingan is from game 1 to game 2, he improved. And I asked him about being gassed in game 1. I go, the adrenaline get the best of you? He conceded that, yes, he was a little geeked, a little excited. He said, I wasn't nervous. He didn't want to give that he was nervous. But he was. And he was nervous in the first game. He looked much more in control of his breath. He did not look like he was, gassed out after every time he was on the floor. So that's a good thing to see, that he's not going to be a guy that's like, sucking wind every time he's out there for 5 minutes.
Marang, we'll see you tomorrow, and we will talk about the Blazers taking on the Washington Wizards tonight, 5:30 on NBA TV.
Indeed. We get to see him go up against Alex Sarr. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't wait for it. Well, I can't wait to welcome you back in here tomorrow as well, and we will ride again for 3 hours. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Between now and then, I've got my NCAA football dynasty started here with my Houston Cougars.
Oh, there you go. Look at you taking over Holgerson. You know what? That is pretty fitting, because you guys got a lot of skeletons in your closets there.
Long hair and crazy.
All right, buddy. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, later, brother.
All right, Blazers take on the Wizards tonight, 5:30 NBA TV. Game 3 of the Vegas Summer League for the hometown team.